From the studios here at CATV6 and RobinHoodRadio.com, welcome once again to Simply Sports. My name is Andy Williams. Thank you for tuning in. March 4th, 2020. And no, folks, I do not have the coronavirus. Just want that in the open so everybody knows. So, anyway, I hope everybody's having a good Wednesday. This is going to be a different show today. Yeah, I'm going to go on talking about the usual sports, but today I'm going to, about more than 50%, 75% of it's going to be politics about sports. And everybody's saying, but your show is like, says it right here. Well, there are some things that need to be addressed, and I want to give my opinions on those issues. First and foremost, we'll start with Housatonic sports. The girls' basketball team came up a little shy last night in their first round state tournament game against St. Bernard, losing 30-28. Sydney Segala had 14 points. And great job by the Housatonic girls for yet another good season. The Hoosie ice hockey team is going to play their first round match against Hall Southington. And a shout out goes out to the Hall Southington coach for being named D3 Coach of the Year in hockey. And now they're going to be playing each other, Hoosie and Hall Southington, in the first round of the Division III state playoffs. So good luck to the Hoosie ice hockey team. In college basketball, the number one team, actually there was a unanimous number one team. After all the chaos that has gone on throughout the season, it's now emerged that Kansas now is the unanimous number one team in the nation. But I always have a philosophy when it comes to March. And oh, by the way, this is March. You don't trust two things in March in sports. You don't trust Kansas, and you don't trust Duke. They're projected to be on the one line when March Madness comes out in a mere 2 weeks. And I don't trust it, just like I think, 25, 30 teams can still make and win the NCAA tournament in Atlanta. So that'll be very interesting to watch and see. Also, another side note, too, coming out of college basketball, and that's Jim Calhoun. Yes, that Jim Calhoun, who led UConn to 4 national championships in 15 years, now has led St. Joseph's, my youngest sister's alma mater, to a 25-2 record, and now has led his team to the D3 NCAA tournament and has a very, very good chance of winning possibly a D3 national championship. How unbelievable would it be for a coach of status of Jim Calhoun, who's led a top program like the University of Connecticut, 4 Division I national championships, and then come back to a D3 school and win a national championship there? That's pretty incredible, if you ask me. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, To be honest with you, I was going to actually, and this is the God honest truth, I was getting ready yesterday to call my producer, Mike Flint, and tell him that I really didn't want to do the show today. But, however, there were a string of events that happened, and this is something that needs to be talked about. And I'm talking about the New York Knicks. And yes, and everybody's saying, oh, well, here we go. Here comes the rant and rave. Well, yeah, here comes the rant and the rave. Because now, this past Monday night, the New York Knicks it was their 18th win of the season. Again, they're not going anywhere, but they get a very good quality win against a very good Houston Rockets team. I've said in the past that we got to start watching out for the Houston Rockets and their possible downward spiral. Well, losing to the Knicks is possibly one of the worst downward spirals you could have. I mean, any team that really loses to the Knicks isn't really. I mean, the Knicks have won 2 straight games, which is a miracle within itself. But I digress. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is Spike Lee. And why on earth are we talking about Spike Lee? Well, it turns out at said game, Spike Lee was harassed by the security and the management and the ownership from one James Dolan. Because he uses the employee elevator. Madison Square Garden is on the 5th floor. If you've ever been to the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden, the floor is on, or the basketball court, it's on the 5th floor. And Spike Lee has used that elevator to go to his courtside seat. Every year, every home game since 1992. Spike Lee has spent $300,000 a year since 1992. For 28 years. Let me just do the math for you, because this is a very staggering number. Times 28. He has spent roughly over $8 million over 28 seasons for courtside seats at the Knicks. Over $8 million. They've been to the finals twice. They have lost both times. He's been there through the thick and the thin, the good, the bad, the really bad, and now the laughing stock. And Jim Dolan has the audacity to take your number 1 season ticket holder and pull him aside and say you're causing a disturbance? Well, what is that? What is that? And that took away from the Knicks putting together a great performance and beating the Rockets. Instead, this was the story. Much like when Charles Oakley got arrested and taken out of Madison Square Garden, now banned from Madison Square Garden. A Hall of Fame Knick. And now you decide to throw Spike Lee out because he was causing a ruckus. Spike Lee wasn't causing a ruckus. Come on now. Come on now. Getting harassed by security, getting harassed by management? No. Spike Lee's been a season ticket holder for 28 years. He's been going to Knicks games since 1967. He has seen Willis Reed. He was sitting courtside when Willis Reed beat the Lakers in 1970. He was a part in the crowd in 1972, 1973. He was a teenager then. And now Academy Award winner, finally, Spike Lee, is saying that he is not attending any more Knicks games for the rest of the year. James Dolan, you're supposed to cater to the fans, not your ego. You have alienated not just the fans, you have alienated former players, Hall of Fame players, and now you've alienated celebrities. What is next? What the hell is next? Because as a Knicks fan, I am thoroughly disgusted. I am thoroughly fed up and disgusted with this egomaniac. It's gross. If you want a message sent, here's what you do. It's very, very simple. And I hope Knicks season ticket holders and people that attend the Knicks games, I hope you're listening. Now, the Knicks have what? 10 home games, roughly? If I'm a Knicks fan, I would boycott all Knicks home games from now for the rest of the season. I would send a very sharp message to Jim Dolan. Because let's face it, Jim Dolan has poisoned the New York Knicks. He has. I hate to compare him to Donald Sterling, but that's the kind of territory we're getting into here. Jim Dolan needs to go. Now, how to go about that, I have no idea. Maybe Adam Silver can plant like a cassette tape or something and catch him saying some outrageous thing or, something stupid. But Jim Dolan's got to go. I'm sorry. As a Knicks fan, I'm thoroughly sick of it. I'm this close to jumping off the Knicks bandwagon. Because what allure is there to be a Knicks fan right now? There isn't. When Pat Riley was the head coach, there was allure, there was a grandeur, there was something to be proud of to be a Knicks fan. You had Charles Oakley, Patrick Ewing, John Starks, list goes on. What do you got here? You got nothing. But I'm going to say this once and for the last time. Jim Dolan needs to go, and he needs to sell the team to somebody that cares about the Knicks fans, the fan base, and the players. Because if not, They're going to be playing in a very bare and empty Madison Square Garden. And that's not what basketball is about. I'm sorry. So that's my little rant about the New York Knicks. And it took all of 12 minutes. Half the show. But it needed to get out. So. Topic number 2 is I'm going to go back to local. And there was a Region 1 meeting about possibly taking away 2 of the sports programs at Housatonic. Football and field hockey. Now, I understand that there's a declining school population. I get that. And I respect that. And things need to be done and changes need to be made. Okay, that's got to do what you got to do. However, now, I never played football, mostly because my mother wouldn't sign the permission slip, but that's a whole nother story. And it took me a couple years to realize it. At last I understood. But I sure as hell respected the football team. If Region 1 were to take away the Housatonic football team, that's an institution. I'm sorry. Yes, 1990 was the last good year that Housatonic had. It went to the state championship. It played against Hall. Yeah, they lost in the state championship game. But 96% of high schools in the state of Connecticut have a football team. They do. And Region 1 wants to take that away. I don't agree with that at all. I understand it costs money, okay? But you don't take away a tradition. You don't. That's wrong. In fact, that's ethically wrong to do that. Especially coming from someone who played 3 sports. Now, granted, I didn't play on a quote-unquote team. Granted, I ran cross country, I swam, and I played golf. All of those, yeah, I was on a team, but everybody labels that as an individual sport. But I sure as hell respected football. I loved going to Housatonic for Friday Night Lights. I did. It was a lot of fun. And now you want to take it away from these kids, and you want to take it away from the parents. I say no. Don't you dare. Because then you're going to alienate even more kids. And it's morally wrong. Don't do it. Now, you also want to cut field hockey. Weren't we trying to get kids more involved in sports? Last time I checked. And into after-school activities? Yeah. This is one of them. So, in the end, cutting sports is not the answer. I know you want to add this whole middle school program and everything, but yet you want to cut 2 of the major sports in high school. What sense are you making here, people? Because you're not. That makes no sense. You want to implement a middle school program for sports, and you want to cut field hockey and a sport that has been around at Housatonic since its inception for 72 years. Come on. Let's use our brains a little bit more. Just saying. Finally, today, I want to go back to our good friends, the Houston Astros. The whole banging on the trash can, drumming on the street light, if anybody caught that, you'll know what I'm talking about. That is a Doug reference, the cartoon Doug back in the 90s, but you had to have been there. Anyway. Houston Astros now, the batters that have been plunked, I believe now are in the double digits in spring training. And it's only going to be a matter of time before Houston's going to start retaliating. Only going to be a matter of time. I'm willing to say that Houston's going to be in at least, you know how I said that they had the line of 83 and a half batters getting plunked this season? Here's a line for you. How many bench clearing brawls do you think the Houston Astros are going to be in this year? From getting hit to retaliation. I'll set that line at 17 and a half. Because there are going to be a lot of brawls coming out of Houston this season. I guarantee it. But that's not what's coming. That's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is something that they're doing at spring training this season. And I thought was really, really cool. It's miking up the players. They do it during spring training. They had, who was it? Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo mic'd up during their spring training game against the Angels. And it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It was great television to actually get inside the player's head and to actually hear Anthony Rizzo at the beginning of the at-bat joke and kid and say, boy, oh boy, I hope somebody's banging on a trash can right now, or somebody gives me a sign on what they're going to throw. And then, so he joked a kid when he got in the batter's box for the first time. And then on a 2-2 pitch, he's like, boy, oh boy. Like you could literally, he was saying it into the mic. He's saying, hey, you know what? He's overdue to throw a fastball. Sure enough, pitcher threw him a fastball, lined a single right into right center field. That was pretty cool. So am I for Major League Baseball players getting mic'd up? Absolutely. During the regular season. I think it would be great. I mean, don't mic them all up. You could mic up 1, maybe 2 players per team, per game. See, shockingly, they're taking a page out of the XFL, which is scary because the best thing about the XFL, I mean, there's not too much that's good about the XFL, but the best thing is they got to bring you inside the huddle. They got to bring you inside, what the players are actually thinking and saying. And that was cool. And if they do this for the regular season, the viewership is going to go way up. Because right now, and actually somebody from Major League Soccer has said this, and a couple other sports have said this. Soccer in the next couple of years is on pace to be more popular than baseball. That's the truth. The women's game and the men's game, and even the MLS, with the stars that they're bringing in, it's going to be more popular than Major League Baseball. So I think Major League Baseball should really start thinking about this coming down the line. I see my friend Tony Clark has joined, so I'll harp a couple minutes with this little nugget that I got this morning. And yes, it's more Tom Brady news. And Tom Brady, where will Tom Brady land? Well, there's now a new suitor in the works. And it's the San Francisco 49ers. And how Tom Brady would be traded for Jimmy Garoppolo. Even swap. Wait, what? What kind of sense is that? So Tom Brady goes to his adopted hometown, which is right near San Francisco, and they trade Jimmy Garoppolo, a quarterback that just led your team to the Super Bowl and was literally 9 minutes away from getting you a Super Bowl ring? I don't know. I don't know. That one I find hard to believe. I think the suitors are still Vegas and Tennessee. And now in the NFL draft, you remember how I was talking about this kid Jordan Love from Utah State? Remember how I said he was going to be late to mid-round? Well, now in the latest mock draft predictions, he's now projected number 6. Going to the LA Chargers. So we could just about rule out Tom Brady going to LA. So now it's down between Las Vegas and Tennessee for Tom Brady. So that's my little NFL spiel, and that's my little old show for today. Thank you very much for tuning in to Simply Sports. March 4th, 2020. I know what year this is, I swear. I'm on every Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Rebroadcast on CATV 6 at 7 o'clock and 11 o'clock. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube page, Simply Sports with Andy Williams. And for Michael Flint, Marshall Miles, Brian Oler, thank you very much for tuning in to Simply Sports. And 1, 4, 3.